Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Mette Petersen. I'm President and Managing Director of Koelnmesse Incorporated. We're the North American subsidiary of Koelnmesse GmbH with headquarters in Cologne, Germany. Our office is located here in Chicago. We've had activities in North America for probably 30 years, but for the last 18 years, our subsidiary has been here in Chicago. And with that, our mission is really to create awareness of Orgatec and all the other international furniture and design shows that Cologne organizes, whether they take place in Cologne or around the world. So that's really our function. For our subsidiary, we handle the US, Canadian, and Mexican markets. So I would imagine most of you know about Orgatec. Orgatec is the leading international trade show for modern working environments and office facilities. I'm sure your main question will be as to whether Orgatec will actually take place this year. It's scheduled to take place October 27th to 31st. And as of right now, Orgatec is definitely on schedule. But naturally, we are, together with our headquarters, we are working on implementing various measures to make it as safe as possible to carry out the show. You may have read on the news that Germany is currently not organizing consumer-related events, and that will continue through the summer. But starting September, the B2B events will start opening up again. And with that, Koelnmesse is actually one of the leading organizers working with the German Trade Association and with the local authorities to develop various programs to make our B2B shows as safe as possible. So with that, we're going to implement all kinds of sanitizing stations throughout the fairgrounds. There'll be temperature checks. There'll be an app is being developed to monitor the attendees and for crowd management. We're obviously going to make sure that there's sufficient physical distancing throughout the fairgrounds, whether it's in the aisles or the booths. Luckily, we have a lot of space, so with that, it really shouldn't be that difficult to implement. So there are many different activities underway, and there are even discussions about making personal tests available in Germany that individuals can take themselves even a couple of hours before they actually enter the fairgrounds in order to make sure that they don't have a temperature and that they don't test positive. So just to make you aware that there are a lot of initiatives underway in order to ensure that we'll have a safe and successful Orgatec. But to our screen and our speakers here, let me introduce our terrific speakers today. We will start out with Thomas Postad, who is director of Orgatec. Thomas has been with Koelnmesse GmbH, our headquarters, for the past, I believe, 18 years or so. And for the past 3 years, Thomas has been director of Orgatec. So he's a very seasoned trade show professional. And after Thomas, Cheryl Durst will be joining us. I'm not really sure whether Cheryl needs an introduction. I think Cheryl is very well known in the industry. Cheryl is a Vice President and CEO of IIDA, the Commercial Interior Design Association. We worked with IIDA in various capacities for the last many years. We're really thrilled to have Cheryl join us. And last but not least, Wilson Troop will be joining us. Wilson is President and CEO of Sedia Systems. Sedia Systems produces really neat seating solutions and chairs. And Sedia Systems has been at Orgatec since 2012. And Wilson has very kindly offered to provide a little bit of his history and experience at Orgatec through the years. So with that, just very briefly, Darren, if you wouldn't mind just showing us our agenda. Just as a quick overview, we'll talk about the show and what's new for the coming show. Then Cheryl with IIDA will be talking about her perspective of Orgatec, and subsequently Wilson will be from Sedia Systems, will be giving his Orgatec story, and then of course we'll leave sufficient time for Q&A at the end. So with that, let me hand over the word to Thomas.
Yes, hi there. Very good evening from Cologne, Germany to everyone. Thank you for listening and for joining us today to this webinar on Orgatec and the working world of the future. This is a short glimpse that you can see right now of the premises in Cologne. You can see right next to the city center with the cathedral, and if you happen to fly over to either Düsseldorf or Frankfurt, it's only about a short train ride away, and you might actually be lucky enough to get a glimpse of the cathedral when you fly over, and that is literally then where you know where you'll be going and where Orgatec is taking place. Darren, if you move on to the next slide, please, for me. Yeah, this is now the premises that you've seen in the real image early on, with the repetition of halls that will be used for Orgatec 2020, and has also been used, as you see it here, for Orgatec 2018, with one exception, that we actually co-host Juve & Cofina, which is basically a show based around office coffee services. And we found, talking to them, that's another show run by Koelnmesse, that we have terrific overlaps in terms of visitors, and so we joined forces with them actually last year in October already. That was announced. If you move on to the next slide, please, you can see the overview, and I'll give you a couple of figures on the show. In 2018, we started off with 750 exhibitors from 40 countries, covering 1.6 million feet of exhibition space. 2018 was actually the peak of the development of the long development of Orgatec over the last couple of years, since the last kind of setback that we had with the economic crisis in 2008. And even back then, Orgatec has been one of the shows that actually helped putting the industry back on track. With 63,000 visitors, that was the best turnout since 2008, actually, from 140 countries. So it's truly an international place to be and to look around for new ideas on Orgatec and on the future of work. We have a very high turnout of decision makers and people with authority to actually look. Yeah, if you can, yeah. Well, you can actually see now the companies that make up the visitors of Orgatec, and it's a broad array of either blue chips companies, of airports, but also trade, car manufacturers, everyone who's got something to do with organizing work in big scale is actually coming to Orgatec, checking out the new products and particularly new concepts that are shared by our experts throughout the conferences of Orgatec throughout the 5 days from Tuesday to actually Saturday. So that was what Mette said earlier, 27th to 31st of October. Talking of the special events, we will go into a bit more detail later on. You will see images of the various events. We start up with materials, so literally all our architects and the design communities appreciate that very much, that we have actually specialists showing materials that are either already in use for the products shown, or that are in course of being ready for mass production. And Orgatec is the first place you actually get to see new materials. You can see where the market is moving towards. But also talking from materials going into the digital world, we experience actually right now that if you can't meet in person, the very next best thing is to meet up in the digital world. And okay, if you can go back, Darren, to the slide before that, please. Yeah, this is the materials section. We have a lot of conferences accomplishing that. As you can imagine, with the regulations that we have now, we are working on concepts to actually get the messages across that we have from experts on the working world from all over the globe. If you go on to the next slide, please, Darren, for me. Digitalization that connects homes and offices and hotels is one of the key subjects that we're actually dealing with at Orgatec 2020. So literally a lot of questions will be answered on how offices and working together in post-corona times actually what it will be, what it looks like. You go on to the next slide, please, for me, Darren. If anyone is having any questions, please don't hesitate to just step in and ask them, put them out, and so I will answer them either directly or give you time after the next couple of slides. We're also working with universities on surveys that will be ready and where we can show the results at Orgatec 2020 on what the future of work looks like, and we're working with manufacturers to actually put these working worlds into reality and actually show them to you. That was meant to be done with actually walkthroughs. Under the current issues, we'll actually rework that and we'll come up with a new concept on it. And we'll also be including home office solutions, which is actually now a thing that everyone is experiencing big time, and where a lot of companies actually opening up to probably a bit more than they would have thought a couple of weeks before. If you move on to the next one for me, Darren, please. Yeah, these are an array of the conferences that were held throughout Orgatec 2018, where we had sessions with either Sing or LinkedIn, where we have conferences dedicated to light architecture, to acoustics. So specialists on these various subjects that we're dealing with in the working world are actually on site and giving their insights into what's new in the working world. If you move on to the next one for me, please, Darren. Yeah, thanks to thanks for instance for Cheryl is one of our speakers in the IIDA, is one of our partners that supports us in getting the right subjects across and the right themes across. She spoke thankfully at the last Orgatec as well, at the Trend Forum. If there are no questions in the next couple of minutes, Cheryl will take over from here. But please feel free to come forward with any questions you may have regarding Orgatec 2020 or 2018.
So do we have any questions right now for Thomas?
Yes, there was one that was just entered, or two, I should say. First one I will read off here. is, do you have any thoughts yet on how you'll manage social distancing for the Trend Forum?
Okay. Yes, we have a lot of thoughts on it. There's a team at the minute going through all of our events, and some of the events, depending on how many people were planned or were meant to be there, will be moved to bigger premises. We have, as Mette said earlier on, about 300,000 square meters of gross space, so there's a lot of space that can be used, and some of the events will be moved from their original locations to actually allow for the extra regulations that we have to adhere to, and we're also thinking of a new format. So it might be that we decentralize the auditorium so that not everyone is necessarily just in front of the stage, but will be in areas where you will be able to follow what is said literally live, but you won't be direct, probably won't be direct in front of the presenter, for instance.
Thank you. The next question, also related to your conference program, was, are there opportunities for individuals to put in a submission for the program?
Yes, the submission for the program is becoming a speaker or being involved in any of the conferences. Is that correct?
They didn't provide that detail, but that is what I would assume. Just either topic suggestions or she just typed in yes.
Okay.
Either, I guess, to submit an idea and or themselves.
Yeah, the preparation for the conference subjects is pretty far advanced, but there are still availabilities, and so literally at this point, I think it's fair to say to both questions, yes, it is possible to put forward ideas and come forward as a speaker, and we try to include that.
Thank you. The next question is related to exhibitors. Do you expect the same number of exhibitors? How many exhibitors do you have at this point?
Okay. Do I expect the same number of visitors? Is a no at this point. I can say though that at the minute we have more than 600 exhibitors, and we at this point we are very close to the same exhibition space as we had in 2018. Although it always has to be said that companies are rethinking the size of their booth, but most of them are pretty certain that they will be attending. But obviously, this is early stages after the administration allowed trade shows as of the 30th of May. So there's it's still a couple of months to go, but we're quite positive. Is there?
Yes, there's another question. I'm going to combine the next two questions to maybe one response for you. There has been a request on the attendee side or the visitor side. Do you have an expectation on how you expect the visitor attendance or any early indications on how the visitors flow will look coming to the event as far as the total numbers of people? And then do you have any advice or feedback that you can give to people who would like to attend as visitors, but they're concerned planning at this point because of the unknown, with Orgatec still having so much a long window of planning at this point? Okay.
So the straight answer to that is, do we expect to top the figures of 2018? No, I don't think so. I think it is fair to say that with the, don't know if you followed if you were able to follow the news over here in Europe, that pretty much all of the European Union is about to opening up their borders again under certain regulations. So tourism to Italy or France or Netherlands, so crossing borders is about literally probably mid of June will be feasible again. So yes, it is all easing off. The question is, as always, is everyone who's able to travel, willing to travel, and believing that the circumstances we're traveling to is safe. We believe that they will be safe in October, and that we are doing everything with the administration to actually top what they recommend that we should be doing. And we're actually in Cologne leading the German trade show organizers in how we can use the technology and the safety measures to actually put that into effect, to realize that. But if we're not expecting there to be exactly the same amount. It will be more than likely a lower amount of people, lower number of people, but what actually can be said is that we, from what we hear so far, the people that make the decisions will probably travel, but they won't allow everyone else necessarily to travel. So that is probably a thing. But on the other hand, and we experienced that in the aftermath of 2008 as well, is that we have a lot of questions that Corona put to us, and people need to come together to discuss them and to actually readjust and redefine projects that we're already working on, and kind of include regulations that that will actually make up the post-Corona working world. Did that answer the question so far? Is there anything else that I should get into?
Thomas, why don't we maybe, I think there was another question or two that just came in, but maybe we'll keep them to the end and we will address those at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, perfect. I won't be going anywhere. Okay.
So with that, yeah, maybe we give the word to Cheryl.
Sounds good. And I'm going to reintroduce myself. I don't think I mentioned my name in the beginning of the presentation. My name is Kasia Myja, and I'm the Sales and Project Manager for Orgatec and many other furniture and design shows that the Koelnmesse organizes. Cheryl, welcome again.
Thanks for asking me.
Thank you for being with us. And as Mette and Thomas mentioned, IIDA has been involved with Orgatec for many, many years, from visiting to exhibiting to presenting in Trend Forum. So again, thank you for all your support and from bringing your members to Orgatec. And many of your members actually have presented with you as part of the Trend Forum over the years. The purpose of this little presentation with Cheryl is an open discussion, and we're going to ask a few questions. And we're going to start off with, in what way does IIDA benefit from being involved in Orgatec, Cheryl?
Sure, Kasia, thank you. And thanks to all of you. I think for IIDA and for our members who are commercial interior designers, obviously the content is very important to us. The breadth of programming that is offered, but equally important is what trade shows do best. In addition to exhibiting new product, it establishes a community. So for us, it's the content and the community. And obviously Orgatec brings together a vast and diverse international community of both exhibitors and design practitioners. And it is an opportunity for IIDA members to connect with designers from across the world, as well as to connect with manufacturers and to see what is the latest and the greatest in the world of commercial interior design. We know that with the onset of the pandemic, the conversation around work has changed, the thought process around work, how we perceive work. We're all working from our homes. That is clearly having great impact on what we think of as the traditional workplace. That model is incredibly altered. And again, a show like Orgatec is going to be vital to the continuing conversation about what work means and what does the workplace mean.
Great, thank you, Cheryl. That takes me over to the next question. What are some key elements that make office design in the US different from those in Europe?
I think that, you know, that the gap over the last probably decade or so between differences in workplace in North America and in Europe, that gap has closed considerably. You know, we're all concerned about the same things, I think, sustainability, health, well-being, wellness, concerns around density. And again, COVID has absolutely changed our thoughts around density, productivity, satisfaction. Right now, there's this movement to re-entry into the workplace. That movement is being led by designers and by interior architects. And right, every company, every brand, every organization out there is leading with a people-first mentality, really considering what human beings want in this next phase post-COVID, but maybe pre-vaccine. You know, how do we create a safe, healthy wellness work environment? We are all in the healthcare business now, whether we want to be or not. We're all invested in the health and well-being of our employees, and the workplace is going to need to reflect safety and security. People are going to need to feel secure as they enter spaces, whether it's workplace or retail or hospitality or a trade show. So I think establishing some protocol and guidelines around what safety means is going to be incredibly important for us as design organizations, as employers, to communicate as well as realize safety and wellness and well-being. And I think there's an incredible opportunity for Orgatec to help lead that conversation and to help push that content and that knowledge out into the global design community.
Right, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Moving on to the next question, would you, what would you say to a designer, architect, manufacturer, or a design student for that matter, who has never been to Orgatec?
I would tell them it is an unprecedented opportunity to learn from that aforementioned community, to actually see product. I think what's going to be hard for all of us is to evaluate come October, no matter where you are in the world, you know, the relative safety around traveling to. Obviously, the best way to experience a show like Orgatec is to be there live and in person. But I think in the interest of everyone in the community, keeping people safe and comfortable, knowing that you all are incredibly flexible, and you're so fortunate to be headquartered in such a forward-thinking country, thinking about the multiplicity of opportunities that are available. So there could be some combination of virtual events with live events, you know, thinking of things from a hybrid aspect to allow people access. But again, that community is the most important part. And we can be a part of a community virtually, we can be a part of the community there on site. But I think the ability for Orgatec to talk about the community that is created will be really valuable. What I would obviously say is that Orgatec is a can't miss opportunity. It may be the first opportunity that many of us have to travel internationally and to kind of regain our footing in the world that we knew before COVID. And so I think for a lot of people, it will be a great reintroduction or introduction to the world of design.
Right, right. And speaking of virtual, maybe I'll address this particular question with also Thomas, because isn't this something that we are also considering to have potentially Orgatec in digital format to some extent? That also relates to a question that was addressed.
Yeah, we're working on that, exactly that thing that we kind of try to bring together the analog and the digital world. So actually make events, speeches, but also concepts available to virtual visitors of Orgatec. This is something that we currently putting a lot of effort in, and because the development of Orgatec over the last years moved Orgatec away from just being about a product, but more about a concept and being and products in relation. Because if we're talking of a working place, and it's not just one product that makes up this working place, but it's a multitude of products, but also light and acoustics, a lot of things that actually help create an atmosphere that that supports you to do actually the job that you're commissioned to do. So yeah, we are working on that, and we try to help the manufacturers to create actually, or to show concepts in the virtual world that they have maybe already worked on, that they have realized in the last couple of months, or that are prepared digitally, so that they can actually walk you through it, and then actually talk about the ideas behind the concept and why certain things have been done. So it can actually bring together a virtual visitor with someone being present at Orgatec and vice versa.
Yeah. I think Thomas, that's a very important message. I mean, the community that Orgatec is a part of and leads is a creative and innovative community, and I think it's really important for people to understand that neither creativity nor innovation has been canceled, right? It's alive and well, and probably even more so. And we're using our creative muscles constantly to move our businesses ahead, to support healthcare, to support all of us working in this industry. But I think that, that overwhelming message that creativity is not canceled during this time is a really important and comforting and optimistic message for people to hear.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. The thing is that we need, now even more than ever, we need to be creative. And maybe, I mean, the good thing in this very bad situation is that this kind of brings everyone together in the concept that you need to be, you need to do something now. And it probably just accelerated what would have taken place much slower, but it would have taken place anyway. We were on the way to that, in that direction anyway. And whenever things get very hard, you only overcome that with yeah, creativity and rethinking the ways that you were conducting your business before, and which is now this Corona thing, COVID. Yeah.
Great, great. I have one more question for you, Cheryl. Since some of your members are both designers, architects, and manufacturers, what do you hear from your members? How do they benefit from Orgatec?
I think again, it's that exposure to the new, to the innovative, and the exposure to the thinking. That no matter what, it's that banding together. Obviously, when you see a hall at Orgatec, they're a group of competitors. Yet, we're all working to elevate design, to elevate commercial design, to elevate product. And manufacturing. It's always about finding what's best and what's better for human beings. And so again, Orgatec just exposes you to that larger community, further reinforced again by this moment that we're living through, that sense that we are all in this together. If nothing else, Orgatec gives us that opportunity to be with a very supportive, creative, innovative community.
Definitely. I love watching the industry whenever I attend Orgatec, and just how passionate everybody is about the design, the new trends, new concepts. So we look forward to that, and hopefully we can see each other this coming fall. And I wanted to encourage you now, if you have any questions, particularly for Cheryl, to perhaps raise your hand. We can unmute your mic and you can speak up, or you can write a question for Cheryl in our chat room. Not, we will also take the rest of the questions at the end of the program. Darren, I apologize. Do you see any other questions? Okay, perfect.
Great. Thanks, Sasha.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl and Kasia. It was very interesting to hear your perspective, Cheryl. We really appreciate all your support through the years.
You're quite welcome.
So with that, we will move to our last speaker of the day, Wilson Troop, who is president of Sedia Systems. If I'm correctly informed, Wilson has been with Sedia Systems for about 15 years, or has been the president of Sedia Systems for 15 years. And has participated at Orgatec since 2012 in various different ways. Wilson very kindly offered to share with us how he and his company has done it in the past. So thank you so much for joining us, Wilson, and I will hand the word to you.
Great. Thank you, Meta, and everyone. And thank you for allowing us to share our Orgatec success story. We attended Orgatec for many years, but never exhibited. And 2012 was our first year that we were showing. And we had a new product. It was really a test for us, a product called Jump Seat. So when Cheryl was talking about the innovative products, we saw the Jump Seat as one of those, and we really wanted to gauge the interest of the international community, as well as decide where we were going to file our patents. We were pleasantly surprised that the Jump Seat did not have a language barrier, and our booth was packed from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Every day of the show. So it was pretty exhausting time, but pretty exciting at the same time. And we were able to get a very large project out of Dusseldorf, Germany, as a direct result of the show. So 2012 was our trial year, and you can actually see our stand was pretty simple. But it served the purpose in presenting the Jump Seat. We also had our swing away seating. And then in 2014, it was really when we developed our European and international strategy. So we had a larger stand. We printed literature in 5 languages: French, German, Spanish, Dutch, Italian. We had our first multilingual team to talk to the attendees in their native language. So it was a larger presence, and having locals there did help a great deal. In 2016 was our largest stand, where we expanded our auditorium seating collection. We had our lecture hall products, and then we had our Jump Seat collection that you can see throughout the booth. And we did increase our regional representation. So we had reps in Europe as well as the Middle East. What we found in this show, our missing link was the fact that we were not a European company. People thought we were, but we weren't. And so this show actually launched us into opening Sedia Systems EMEA, which is based in Dublin. And that opened in 2017, and then we've expanded our European production. We do produce in Europe, and also our representation. So 2020 marks our return to Orgatec. We have a large portfolio of installations in Europe. Regional representation throughout Europe is strong. So that's our story, evolution of Sedia in the show, starting from literally not having any real presence in Europe to having a full company and representation and manufacturing in Europe.
Thank you, Wilson. We actually have some manufacturers with us today, online with us today, have visited Orgatec but have never exhibited, and some of them might be considering to potentially grow their exports and maybe exhibit at Orgatec in the future. What would you say to those kind of companies? Maybe walk us through a little bit in detail through your process. How did you promote your brand? What was the first thing you did after your first Orgatec in terms of like post-show follow-up? And
first we were promoting it through our website. The post-show follow-up would have been the 400 or so contacts we had coming out of the show from all over the world. So it was really basic blocking and tackling, where it's emails and phone calls. And then what has happened since is, because we have the regional representation and we have people speaking the local languages and samples locally, has become much more fluid. But coming out of the first show, it was a lot of emails and making sure to see if their opportunities were something that we could support.
And besides the emails, since Orgatec takes place every 2 years, did you make any trips to Europe to see your potential clients? How did you handle that?
Yeah, so we started really high spotting if there was a project that we thought was something that needed a visit. Starting back in 2013, 14, we would fly there, but now it's become something where we're going in and supporting our local representatives on daily calls to architects, designers, and dealers.
That's great. Do you happen to have any tips to other companies who maybe are where you were back in 2011, 2010, before you actually decided to exhibit at Orgatec?
Yeah, it's a great place to show and get feedback. Not every product can be sold in Europe, and like I said, 2012 was our trial year. But my kind of top, I would say the top items to focus on is use the logistics company recommended by the show organizer. They have offices there. You can they'll handle all the documentation for you. They're there to help. I would recommend arriving 1 to 2 days earlier, because if you're not there early and you're stuck in the States or North America, you're going to have a difficult time getting there, and you don't want to be late. So less options coming from the States. So I'd rather be there early than and go visit the Ludwig Museum and the cathedral versus trying to figure out how I'm going to get on the next plane. Always look at the power capabilities, or if that your product is compatible with the power for Europe. One of the things that we learned early on is secure your booth. If there's booth security, if you have anything that you want to remain safe, there is security available. We've used it every time we've shown, and the game changer for us was to have a local show builder. They were able to, we coordinated with them on the front end, and they were able to work with us to install and dismantle the show. And you saw that in 2014 was when we hired our first builder, and it was actually almost done when we arrived. So that was a real game changer for us, and much easier to do a show internationally with someone local.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing, Wilson, and for being with us and supporting the show and exhibiting.
Yeah, I have to say that Orgatec really has been instrumental for Sedia Systems, the experiences we've had, the interactions we've had at the 3 showings, and it helped us evolve our international strategy, and we're excited about 2020. Now having our European entity in place, we expect it to be an exciting show for Sedia Systems.
Great. We look forward to having you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions in the chat room, or does anyone wants to speak up and perhaps ask a question live?
Oh, it seems as if we do have one question in the chat room. And the question for Wilson is, how did you come to select Ireland for starting a subsidiary?
Language. When you get in a room with attorneys, it's always good to not have a translator there. Although I've been working in Italy for many years, I have difficult time sometimes on the legal side. So it was just easier. It was a very fluid opening, and Ireland was there to support it, and it was the best choice for us.
All right. Well, thank you, Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks as if we just got a question from Harshad Mehta. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. The question is, any plans on India partnership?
For Sedia? We're currently marketing in India. We do have a large dealer in India, but at the moment we don't have any partnership discussions, but always open.
Do we have any other questions? As a matter of fact, I have a question, if I may bother you, and I want to be mindful of the time as well, but can you give any kind of advice in terms of how you work with distributors in Europe?
It's very similar to how we work in the U.S. or in North America. It's visibility and having something that's relevant for the salespeople to sell. We did have an advantage with the jump seat because it does open a lot of doors globally. The product's been installed literally, I don't know how many countries now, but we have patents in 25 countries. So we had a product that did open the doors, so it opened for some of the other products, but just like in North America, it's the relevance of the product and the solutions that you can bring to those dealers, and then the support you can give them on the street, whatever back office support is needed. And that's where we differentiate, and have had a lot of great feedback from dealers throughout Europe, Germany, Ireland, UK, and developing in France too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you shared with us just earlier, as we were getting ready for a webinar, that you work quite a bit in the educational and healthcare sectors, and with that, I'm sure you're going to be busy long term with everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's an evolving program right now. We're trying to understand the cycles of renovation and new construction. But we've had a lot of activity in the hospital sector, in the healthcare market too, with the jump seat, as well as there are a number of auditoriums and lecture halls that are being renovated in some of these hospitals. So just wait a minute, it'll change. So we're trying to stay on top of it as the news comes through. So.
Yes, I think you're very right. It's a very changing times.
Yeah, definitely, and with education and the opening of schools in the fall or not, there's just a lot of uncertainty. This is all still relatively fresh, a couple months. So at the moment we're waiting and seeing, but still there's a lot of activity out there in the sectors that we're targeting.
Well, that's good to hear. We certainly wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you, Mette.
And certainly look forward to seeing you at Orgatec in October.
Yes, we're excited. Thank you.
So with that, maybe we should give everybody a last chance to ask questions. Any further questions before we wrap up? All right, doesn't seem to be the case, but I think we're getting to the end now. So with that, I just wanted to share with you who our main contacts are here at Koelnmesse North America. Kasia, you have heard and I think seen a little bit in the beginning. Kasia Misha is our sales and project manager for Orgatec. She's been with us for 7 years and works on all our furniture and design shows. Franz Balve is also one of our key contacts for these industries. Franz has been working with us ever since we started out, so very experienced guy. And Leslie Fleck is our visitor manager, especially handling VIP accounts, but she's available to assist anybody who is interested in Orgatec. So you have their information here, their contact information, so feel free to reach out to them or to myself for that matter. So with that, I think we will wrap up and just wanted to repeat our dates. We certainly hope and expect that Orgatec is on track for taking place the 27th to the 31st of October. So with that, thank you so much to everybody, especially to our speakers for participating and taking time to join us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, thank you.
We really appreciate your time and effort. And with that, we'd like to wish you all a very nice day and a nice evening in Germany. And all the best to everybody and stay safe.